Artificial intelligence to create nude images of classmates. NBC4's Bailey Miller is live at the school with more. Bailey.
Good afternoon, Annabelle. Yes, you can only imagine how disturbing it is for these students who were targeted during this incident. Now, we did catch up with some students and parents here at the middle school this afternoon who tell us they are disturbed and concerned these nude images were circulated.
It's very scary because people can't feel safe to come to school.
One student at Beverly Vista Middle School, we are not identifying because he is a minor, says students are on edge and concerned.
To the towers, but it didn't stop a group of people who broke in this morning.
LAPD wasn't far behind. Eyewitness News reporter Mark Cota-Robles is live downtown with the news of the arrests. Mark?
A young man appearing to be live streaming his interaction with police is arrested after emerging from the now infamous graffiti-covered towers in downtown LA. Minutes later, a second arrest. We asked that guy what he was doing while hiding out on the property overnight.
Yeah, we were literally playing Monopoly up there, board games, and just doing a hangout and looking at the graffiti, but we weren't doing graffiti. We didn't even bring spray paint in. We were just exploring it because it looked cool, you know?
Police caused a bunch of problems, but there was a blessing to the largest natural fresh water lake in Southern California. Lake Elsinore is now near record levels.
And residents are thrilled with all that liquid gold. KCAL News reporter Nicole Comstock shows you the lake today.
You can take your boat for a cruise on Lake Elsinore, but so much for the sand in your toes. Launch Point Public Beach is under 4 feet of water. That's because of a recent series of super soaker storms. The city says the water level here is now the highest it's been in 25 years.
In time, I have many faults. Misunderstanding politics is not one of them. That said, I believe more strongly than ever that America's global leadership is essential to preserving the shining city on a hill that Ronald Reagan discussed. As long as I'm drawing breath on this earth, I will defend American exceptionalism. So as I've been thinking about when I would deliver some news to the Senate, I always imagined a moment when I had total clarity and peace about the sunset of my work. A moment when I'm certain I have helped preserve the ideals I so strongly believe. That day arrived today.
Fundamental to this issue is the fact that the city of Los Angeles leads the nation in pedestrian and bicycle deaths. HLA, according to the proponents, is designed to address that. It has long been America's most car-centric city, but now a movement is underway to change the way Los Angeles moves.
Creating crosswalks and safer spaces for pedestrians, building bus and bike lanes to create safer commutes.
The ad is for a measure on next week's ballot called HLA, which would require the city of LA to implement its largely ignored mobility plan.
Will not be able to pull to the right, and we're stuck behind them. Every second counts.
Opposition to the measure is being led by the LA City Firefighters Union, who say reconfigured streets with fewer traffic lanes will hamper 911 responses.
There is an issue with public safety attached to it. It will delay the response times to the members that I represent.
The union pastor is under fire after he endorsed Republican U.S. Senate candidate Steve Garvey during a recent sermon. That pastor admitted during his sermon that the move was illegal.
KTLA 5's Corrine Winter live now in Chino Hills with the developing details. Corrine?
Yeah, Glenn and Lou, the pastor's comments during that recent sermon making lots of headlines, a lot of controversy here after he encouraged the congregation to vote Republican.
Even adults struggle with this endless scroll on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. But these apps can particularly affect teens. Now one advocate is helping them find a balance.
Larissa May calls herself a survivor of the digital age.
I really started to struggle with body image, depression, and anxiety And social media was my sword and my shield. I would numb my emotions, and it ultimately brought me to the darkest place of my life.
Now,
Change menu prices based on daily demand.
fast food chain now says it never used the term surge pricing. Earlier this month, the Wendy's CEO told investors the company would test a dynamic pricing model next year following the installation of new digital menu boards. Initial reports suggested prices would go up as demand goes up. The terms dynamic pricing and surge pricing are often used interchangeably, but in a statement released last night, Wendy's says it, quote, would not raise prices when our customers are visiting us most.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes out every Monday through Friday, live at 4 now on iNewswire and the Evil Up Network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewswire and Rumble. Might even irritate the YouTube folks a little bit. Nude photos going through high schools, junior highs, caught on Beverly Hills of that and the problems of that and the problems with technology and how it goes. We even have another update on how to get off the technology merry-go-round that a lot of people are in, what it has caused, and how to possibly avoid that. A Chino church pastor is in hot water over endorsing Steve Garvey for Senate, and Republicans on that. Major story breaking in the IE on that, as we usually do that time on that. Lake Elsinore up to a high level again on that, so we will give you the Channel 2 report on that. Wendy's says no so much on the surge pricing. We're kind of dumping that idea after we floated it out there, and it got a big, people are pissed off and ain't going to put up with that anymore. The high-rise hucksters up there in the LA deal, they had 2 arrests on there in camping or whatever, allegedly, and there we'll have the story of one of them as he's getting cuffed and stuffed in the car on that. Mitch McConnell, longest leader, majority leader, minority leader of the Senate, is stepping down in November on that, but the fossil has still till 2028, I believe, as a U.S. Senator. Maybe Mitch McConnell ought to think about packing her in now before he does any more damage to the United States and the world, as he has been probably, maybe even the longest, maybe the most failed leader we've had up in the Senate on that. Got much more. Susan Shelley will be in as we join KMET 1490 at the bottom of the 5 o'clock hour, as we usually do. So here we go with the rest of the show. Yeah, there we do, the rest of the show. Mitch on there. One thing there's some pundits out there that are picking up on my idea, and I said Trump's VP pick, Tulsi Gabbard, is the best strategic pick of them all, and we'll see what some of the other pundits have on that. Might even get into Steve Kornacki and some of the stuff that came up from the Michigan primary, where Trump dominated and nobody. It's kind of like a Nikki Haley deal over there in Nevada. More people, I think, voted, we don't want Joe on the Democratic side than voted for Joe. We'll have more on that. But I wanted to get to the local story about the nude photos going on in SoCal. Seems they are AI generated on that. The technology, we're never going to stop it, as probably as much as I'd like to get rid of the 3x5 screen and all that stuff. It's here to stay, but the damage it's been doing to not only our psyche, which we'll go into a little bit later, but the kids and how they use it, they grew up with this stuff. It's like getting up in the morning, and they know how to outmaneuver us older generation parents and grandparents and stuff into that. So it's troubling. I don't have a good way to regulate it, and you'll never stop nothing. I mean, kids are going to be kids. They're going to do their thing of that, and you're not going to be, like anybody else. You can't prevent anything. But I want to finish up on the Channel 4 report on the nude photos in AI generated, and maybe not, who knows, but we'll see if she plays now.
Hills Middle School after students used artificial intelligence to create nude images of classmates. NBC4's Bailey Miller is live at the school with more. Bailey.
Good afternoon, Annabelle. Yes, you can only imagine how disturbing it is for these students who were targeted during this incident. Now, we did catch up with some students and parents here at the middle school this afternoon who tell us they are disturbed and concerned these nude images were circulated.
It's very scary because people can't feel safe to come to school.
One student at Beverly Vista Middle School, we are not identifying because he is a minor, says students are on edge and concerned.
They're scared that people will show off explicit photos of themselves.
As last week, students alerted staff at the school to a disturbing incident. A group of students reportedly created and shared nude AI-generated images of other students. According to the school district, the images included faces of students superimposed onto AI-generated nude bodies. The Beverly Hills Unified School District quickly launched an investigation.
We will be looking at the appropriate discipline so that students understand that there are consequences and accountability for their actions.
In a statement, the school district says this emerging technology is becoming more and more accessible to individuals of all ages. We are appalled by any misuse of AI and must protect the most vulnerable members of society, our children. Parents, please partner with us and speak with your children about this dangerous behavior. And students, please talk to your friends about how disturbing and inappropriate this manipulation of images is. This comes at a time as lawmakers are working to determine how to address cases involving artificial intelligence like this one. The school district says more has to be done.
School districts aren't known for having to advocate and to work with our congressmen to just get the laws to change, but the safety laws are clearly being outpaced by the technology that we have.
And parents at the school are hoping swift action is taken.
It needs to be some kind of huge consequence for that.
There needs to be some kind of huge consequence for that. This isn't taking a picture of your unit or something and sending it where you're doing a direct deal. This is somebody taking your face, photoshopping it, AI generated, however they're doing it, then superimposing it on somebody else's body. Then it looks like you and you're doing it somebody else. But it goes back to the whole crime deal that we've had. And we've let criminals run this stuff. And as the school administrator said, the criminals are outpacing our laws. Well, and even if they do catch them, they don't punish them anyway. There's no consequences for bad behavior or all across the board. We seem to excuse it till it gets way out of control. And then everybody starts saying, well, how in the heck did that happen? Well, it happened because you weren't paying attention on the first run or taking care of this, or somebody in catching the first perpetrators that were doing that, and then putting some real teeth punishment behind that. And then subsequently, if, there's people that won't stop, those that get caught again doing it have severe penalties and sanctions and jail time imposed on them. Then a lot of people will think twice before they initiate this kind of abhorrent behavior. Again, you could be, this isn't something you generated. This is something somebody else generated, stole your face, stuck it on a body, and then they're passing it all around school and everybody's, laughing or whatever. at you, and you don't even know what the hell's going on. It's another one of these challenges again of what we might face going further on this stuff up and down the line, because all this, we look at and we try to anticipate. We used to try to get out in front of these deals. Okay, we know this new technology is coming on, AI. What happens? What are we going to do? Let's set the parameters if somebody's misusing that, because it didn't take a rocket science to figure out people would be doing things like this. I mean, if it's something sophisticated and that you didn't anticipate, then I could see the excuse, let's say, of why nothing was done, or something along the lines of, hey, we didn't anticipate this, or that was a clever deal and now we got to react to it. This, I don't see how they could not see was coming. I mean, this was totally justified. They should have been out front on it. We weren't. Now the kids are having to deal with this. And again, it's a lack of foresight sometimes of where we are in a society that, sometimes you just wonder, are we all sitting around with our heads in our rear end all the time on this stuff, or what in tarnations is really going on? Also, we've had a problem with people being too addicted to their cell phones and such. And people can't get away from it. That's the other subject du jour that we seem to suffer with on that. There's a Channel 5 report on a lady who gives you advice on how you can get rid of the habit of scrolling every waking minute of the day as we come forward. Here we go.
Scroll on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, but these apps can particularly affect teens. Now one advocate is helping them find a balance.
Larissa May calls herself a survivor of the digital age.
I really started to struggle with body image, depression, and anxiety, and social media was my sword and my shield. I would numb my emotions, and it ultimately brought me to the darkest place in my life.
Now,
we've had Dr. Gene Twenge, who's a professor down at San Diego State, who's studied this issue ad nauseum on this, and especially how affected teenage girls, just exactly like that. Drove them to the deepest, darkest depressions they've ever had. And up to that, and that was their refuge. This technology that was supposed to bring us all together and make our world, you could travel halfway around the world in seconds at the speed of light, has made us more lonely, driven us more crazy, made us more, put anxiety at the forefront. Many teenage girls, the suicide rate is tripled, quadrupled in the last 10, 15 years over the social media crap like that. And imagine if you're a teenage girl and all of a sudden, somebody's doing an AI generated nude photo of you and spreading it all around school of that. And, I'm sure there was photoshopped ones before, and nobody gets any punishment for it. I do get that. The other part of it is stay away from this stuff. Here's more from the KTLA 5 report.
She's an advocate for teens. Her nonprofit, Half the Story, helps them develop a healthy relationship with social media.
What's really most horrible about these platforms is the addictive algorithms and the things that keep kids pulled in.
But since they go large,
They not only, it isn't just kids that they keep pulled in with this stuff, adults too. Go to any place where there's people around and they don't talk to each other hardly. They're all again. I wonder, I bet you there's like 1.3% of the people who went and just lost the whole thing. And I'm wondering, did my feed? Yes. I'm wondering why my feed went totally nuts. On the deal, but I don't know. I'm going to see if I can still hear myself. Am I still broadcasting? Yeah, it seems like it is. You know what I'm going to do? Unusual. But we're going to try and see why the technical stuff is going all haywire of that. Maybe we'll just refire all the broadcasts back up again. Let's see here. Still looking for why, the technical problems of this. I'm going to roll this all out. Let's try this all over again.